So we're going to start in a seated position, but just with your knees bent, and you're just going to kind of hug your arms around your knees and then just let everything soften. Let your back round, let your chin kind of tuck down into your chest. And just hang out here for a few seconds and just tune in and notice your breath. And then see if here you can just kind of check in and get a sense of how your body is feeling physically right now. And then see if you can just kind of notice where your mind is at right now. Notice if you've carried anything in with you from your day and see what can you set down. And then as you start to let your day go, can you let your shoulders soften just a little bit, soften your jaw. And then let your breath slow down just a little bit more, noticing that nice deeper inhalation. So you might feel a little bit of compression of your belly against your thighs. And then see if you can just kind of tune in and notice the breath in the back of your body and in your shoulder blades. And then before we move away from this place, take a moment here to set an intention to honor your mind and your body throughout your practice, never doing anything in your practice that would cause your body pain, and treating yourself with love, care, and respect. Cool. And then with that intention set, start to gently lift your head up. And then we're just going to take a little handhold of the knees so we can sit up just a little bit taller and just take a couple of gentle nods of the head up and down, just to kind of soothe out the back of the neck if you found any tension there or a little dull ache from letting the head hang heavy. Awesome. And then to just get a little bit of set on the hips before we come down into our first posture, you're going to take your hands to the outsides of your knees. You're going to press your hands in as you press your knees out. So it's a little bit of an active position. And we just want to find a little bit of engagement. So your legs might get a little shaky. And we just want to feel that sensation, knees pushing out, hands pushing in. So we just find that area to the outer edges of the hips that is doing that little bit of work. Take one more breath here. Cool. And then let that go. And now we're going to set ourselves up to our first posture. So you're going to take your pillows and you're going to tuck them right up against your thighs so that we can come down into a reclined butterfly position. So first set your pillows up so that they're underneath your thighs, and then soften your knee position so that you can come down onto your back. So you're just going to lower yourself down. And then if you need to readjust your pillows, take a moment to do so. But then we want to let the pillows support this position. So rather than going super deep into this reclined cobbler's pose, keep it supported so that the SI joint feels really happy about this position. You'll find a stretch in the inner thigh, the groin, and the hips, but then we're not working so hard and creating an extra shift in the SI. And then once you feel like you've got those pillows underneath you, everything feels tucked up and supported, let your hands just kind of come out at your sides, nice and heavy. Snuggle your shoulder blades in, make sure the top half of your body feels good. And then right away, check in. Make sure it feels like it's a good position with your feet, your knees, and your hips. If you need to readjust anything, take the time to do so. And then once you feel like things are good, allow your breath to slow down here. Just taking a moment or two to watch your inhalation, hopefully breathing in through the nose. And then watch your exhalation and hopefully breathing out through your nose as well. And then keeping and maintaining that deeper sense of breath, but now moving your attention slightly away from your breath. So just notice your muscles in your body. Are you holding tension in your inner thighs, around your knees, or the outer edges of your thighs? Can you soften there? Are you holding tension in your feet or your ankles, and can you soften there? And then tune into the space around your belly button and your stomach. And then just notice if you're holding or gripping any tension around your belly button, can you find a little softness there? And then let that softness find its way up into your chest and your shoulders. Arms are soft and heavy. And then once you found that sense of letting go again, then let your awareness come back to your breath, watching your inhalation. And maybe finding an even slower exhalation. Take one more breath. And then when you're ready, you're going to reach your hands down so you find the outer edges of your thighs, and you're going to help your knees come together. And then slowly and mindfully pull both knees up into your chest. Give yourself a light little squeeze, maybe a little bit of a rock side to side. And then we're going to come back to that sort of sensation of pushing out and pushing in. So you're going to float your feet up into a little bit of a tabletop position. Hands are going to find the outsides of the knees. Hands are going to push in, knees are going to push out, and we're just going to activate those muscles, feeling a little bit of action, maybe in the inner thighs, maybe the outer thighs. And then just holding that active position for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then soften it all up. Pull your knees into your chest, give yourself a light little squeeze. And then we're going to start to find our way up into a seated position. So you can rock and roll up if that feels good, or just roll to one side and then just kind of move your pillows out of the way. And then you'll have an option to use the pillows if you want, but we're going to come into a zigzag seat. So left leg is going to be in front, right leg out to the side. Take a second to find your way into that position. And then we're going to rotate. So we're going to rotate to the left, finding a little twist. And now here's where you might like your pillows. You can bring them alongside and then kind of lay in a little twisted position over the pillows. But if it feels good to go a little bit deeper with it, you can come down elbows and forearms, but only if that feels good to come into that deeper twisted position. So you choose the variation, pillows or no pillows, that'll be totally up to you. But find that twist and then let everything soften. Come back to that idea of softening the shoulders, softening the back of your neck. Notice here that you get a little bit of a compression in the belly when you're in these twisted positions. So if there's anything that needs to be arranged so that the belly is comfortable, take a second to do it. And then allow your breath awareness to stay there at your belly and at your center. So notice that little bit of compression. And then take a second to notice, are you holding gripping tension in your hands or in your feet? Can you soften there? And then hopefully now you've relaxed a little bit into that compression in your center. So now can you deepen the breath here a little bit, slowing your exhalation down, finding a softness in your muscle tissue in your center. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, start to come up nice and slow. We're going to keep our legs in that zigzag position. And then as you come up, just take a little counter twist just to make sure everything feels good. Take a nice big breath. And then you're rotating back to center, but now we're going to take it into a side bend. So your right hand's going to find the floor or the outer edge of your shin. And then your left hand's going to reach up, maybe resting on the back of the head or just hanging out nice and loose over and above your head. And then if at any point this arm up and overhead becomes too tiresome, which it can be fatiguing a little bit, if you need to, you're just going to relax that arm down. But if it feels comfortable to do so, just hang out there and allow that little bit of weight from your hand and your arm to draw you just a little bit further into that side bend. And then once you feel like you've got a position that feels good, maybe close your eyes or just soften your gaze and then tune in again and notice your breath. So we want to pay attention to the breath in the center. You'll notice the breath maybe in the outsides of the ribs first. That might be the most obvious place where the breath draws its awareness. And then see if you can tune into the other side ribs, those side ribs that are contracted, and see, or those side ribs that are squeezed in, and see if you can just kind of notice your breath there. As we come into these yin postures, we want to put a positive stress on the connective tissue and a positive stress on the joints, but we want to make sure that we stay in a safe position. So if at any point, any of these postures don't feel good, there's an electric or shooting pain, you're going to want to dial it back and find a softer position with the body. But if all is feeling good, you want to stay in a level of 5 to 7 of sensation, making sure you're feeling work, but you're not having to effort so hard that your muscles are shaking. So you should be allowed to find a softness here, softening the side body, softening into your breath, softening your jaw. We have about 30 seconds left here, but if that top arm has become too much, you always have the option to drop it down. But if it's still feeling good to stay there, about 20 seconds left to work, just tune back in, notice your breath. Take a nice gentle inhale, nice slow exhale. And take one more breath. Awesome. And then when you're ready, come up nice and slow, dropping that arm down and then just giving your shoulders a little shrug just to make sure you work out any of that dull leg that you may have come across up in the shoulders. And then when you feel ready, you're just going to swing your legs out in front of you. Keep a super generous bend in the knees, catch the knees and take a little cat cow here. Inhale to lift your chest, lift your chin. Exhale to round your back. Inhale to lift your chest. Exhale to round. Beautiful. Take one more breath here. Nice. And then when you're ready, we're going to swing the legs to the other side. So we're going to start by setting up our little twist. So if you liked using the pillows, you're going to stack your pillows up next to you. Or if you liked coming down a little bit deeper onto elbows and forearms, or even more reclined, it'll just depend on the variations in your body, what feels the best here. So you're going to take a second to find that little bit of a twisted position and then let everything settle in. Soften through the back of your body, soften through the back of your neck. And then right away tune in. So in this twisted position, it's easy to notice that compression of breath. So notice that first. And then see if you can move your awareness away from your breath and just notice your feet and your hands. If you're holding tension in your feet and your hands, can you soften those? Soften your inner thighs, soften your knees. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly start to come up, gently lifting yourself up, keeping your legs in that configuration. Take a little counter twist just to kind of soothe all that out. And then rotate your heart back to center and then right into that side bend. Hands going to come behind the head and you're just going to lean in and then find that comfortable position for you here. So your hand can be on the shin or on the floor, whatever feels good. And you can always lower the hand down if that doesn't feel like a comfortable position. And one side might feel totally different than the other. So just tune in and make sure you honor what goes on this side of your body. Take a second just to notice your breath. Notice the breath in the side ribs that are being stretched, and then notice the breath in the side of the ribs that are being compressed. We've got about a minute left on this side, so just tune in and notice. If that top arm has become too heavy, go ahead and lower it down or make any little changes that will feel good to you here. But if all is feeling good, just keeping with that little bit of a side bend. So we still create that openness through the ribs and that stretch through the side body. Take one more breath. And then when you're ready, slowly start to come up, releasing that arm, give your shoulders a little shrug just to kind of soothe all that out. We're going to swing the legs out in front of us and take just a couple more cat and cows here. So just hang on to your knees. Inhale, lift your chest, lift your chin. Exhale to round your back. Inhale to lift your chest. Exhale to round. Take one more breath like that. Inhale to lift. Exhale to round. Awesome. Then find a kind of neutral spine and let your hands just touch the ground, and then just kind of swish your knees a little bit side to side, just to kind of soothe out the hips, soothe out the knees and the ankles, and just make sure everything feels good. From here, we're going to take it into a seated forward fold, but we're going to play around for a second with our configuration with our pillows. And me and Hope here are going to figure out a configuration. So one pillow on the ground, and you're going to set your butt onto that pillow for a second and see how that feels. And then you're going to take your other pillow and put it so that it's underneath your knees. And you can always double stack that pillow that's underneath your knees. So it's going to create a little bit of a bend in the knees. So that's what we're shooting for, a little bent knee position. And then we're going to fold over and then just tune in for a second and see how that feels. Not everybody needs or wants that pillow under the butt, but for some of us, it feels really great. That if that feels like it's really not the position for you and it just makes your butt be a little too lifted and not in a great position, then go ahead and move that out of the way. Or you could always tuck it underneath your knees so you got a little double stack. So see what feels best to you here, but we do want to maintain that bent knee position, and then we're folding over and then inviting some softness in. So once you feel like you've got your pillows in a place that feels good to you, also an option to take the other pillow, stack it on top of your thighs, and rest over it just like that. So see if any of those variations work for you, and then invite some softness in. Let your feet find their natural rotation. So they might externally rotate just a little bit. Soft feet, soft inner thighs, soft butt and back of the body. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly start to come up and out, lifting yourself up gently, removing any of the pillows that you may have used. And then giving everything a little bounce. Bounce out your knees, wiggle out your ankles, shrug out your shoulders, make sure everything feels good. Now we're going to spin it around into a tabletop position and start to find our way into our puppy pose or heart melting pose. So start in tabletop position. Knees are going to stay in line with the hips. Hips are going to stay in line with the knees. And then we're going to walk the hands forward towards the top edge of the mat and then sink down. You can use your stack of pillows here and go a little bit deeper into that puppy pose. So if you would like to get a little bit deeper into it, it's going to bring the floor up to meet your arms a little bit and allow your chest and your forehead to sink a little bit deeper. But if you're happier with the hands down on the ground, take that variation that feels right to you. And then soften the forehead, soften the elbows, let everything get as heavy as it can towards the earth. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly and mindfully start to lift yourself back up into that tabletop position. And then once you found your way into that tabletop position, you're going to pick one hand up and you're just going to let your fingers touch your shoulder and circle your shoulder in one direction, or circle your elbow in one direction. Nice. And then circle the other way. Awesome. And then set that hand down and take it to the other side. Fingers are going to find the shoulder, circle your elbow in one direction. Beautiful. And then circle your elbow the other way. Awesome. Now we're going to find our way down into a supported Sphinx pose. So one pillow or two pillow, it's just going to depend on what feels the most comfortable to you. But you're going to place that pillow so that you can kind of prop it underneath your solar plexus and underneath your chest. And then once you've got your way there, kind of feels like old school, like you're just like going for a sleepover and you're going to read your book for a little while. So now you're going to walk your elbows in. So you're going to try to get your elbows hugged in. The pillows are going to get all squished in, and then just make sure that feels like a good position. And then if you need to drop one of the pillows off, just remove it. Or if you don't want the pillows either way, you can just remove them both and just stay in the more active Sphinx position. But once you've got your way here, we're going to take a second to just kind of tune in and notice the low back and the tailbone. So if you feel like the compression in your low back is a little too much, see about drawing your tailbone slightly towards your heels and creating a little space in the low back. And then see where can you soften from there. Softening through the back of your neck. Soften through your jaw. Soften your hands and let go of any efforting that you can through the front of your body. So with the pillows there to support, you don't have to keep that upright and lifted position. So just kind of let your body settle over it just a little bit. So you're finding that compression in the spine, that light back bend here, and then a stretch through the front of the body, but minus the effort. So find that softer position if you can. Take a moment here to tune in and notice your breath. Are you breathing with ease? A nice slow inhalation and a nice soft exhalation. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, we're going to slowly start to lift our way back up into a tabletop position. We are coming back down onto our belly, but we're going to take a second to find our way there. So we're going to move one of the pillows out of the way. And then just for a moment, for safety's sake, we want to tune in. So if that was already too much on your belly, or if you've got anything going on abdominally and laying down pressure on the belly is not going to be good for you, then you're going to stay in an upright seated position. You're going to take your pillow right up against the belly, hug it in, and you're putting a little pressure with your hands. But if your belly is good, all things are good, all systems go, and it's safe and comfortable to be down on the belly again, then we're going to take that pillow and it's going to come right across your belly button. So it's going to be across the abdomen. It's going to create a little bit of a compression, and then you're going to step your feet towards the outer edges of your mat, and then just kind of let your feet turn out or turn in, whichever feels like the natural configuration of your legs and your feet. And then you're going to let your forehead soften down. So you might choose to stack your hands and just allow your forehead to rest on the backs of your hands. So now we're creating this compression in the belly, and just tune in right away and notice, is there anything that needs to be arranged? Is the pillow up under your ribs and needs to be moved out of the way? Any little soft arrangements that help you be comfortable here? And then see if you can just tune in and notice your breath. Notice that little bit of compression against the pillow. And then with that compression there, can you tune in and notice the breath in the back side of your body? So notice that freedom of breath, especially across that middle of your back and the low back. To the best of your ability, invite softness into your stomach muscles. You might notice your breath in your belly. You might notice a little quiver in the muscles of your belly, and just any sensation that you notice there, make sure it feels like a safe and comfortable sensation. That little bit of quiver, maybe releasing the psoas muscles, and it might feel good and nice. But if it feels like it's too much or it's a discomfort that you're not into, always have the option to sit back up and just press the pillow against your belly and use your hands to create that compression. So it's a softer sensation. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly start to prop yourself up, lifting yourself away from your hands, lifting yourself up away from that pillow. And then if it feels good, we're going to take it right into our child's pose or extended child's pose. So your option here is to keep knees together, toes together, butt back to the heels, and extend the arms long. And then you can always take those pillows, stack them up, and rest comfortably there. Or if it feels like a better position to have big toes together, knees out a little bit wider, making a little space for your belly and for your chest, sink your butt back, and then hug those pillows in. So you take any variation that feels really good to you, take your time to find it, and then settle in. And then if you're using the pillows and your head is going to be turned one way, At the halfway point, I'll just tell you to turn your head the other way just for a little bit of symmetry there so that you're not stressing the neck one way, but then not the other. We're halfway through our hold in this pose. So if you have your head turned in one direction, it might feel good to turn it the other way just to make sure that your neck gets worked on both sides. But if you're facing down and everything feels good, just stay just as you are, inviting that softness back in. And then maybe here you just tune in and notice your belly. So if your knees are wide apart, you might feel that bit of freedom in your center. So just notice your breath there, allowing your belly to inflate like a balloon. And then if your knees are together, you might notice that compression again. So just tune in and notice, and you might feel a little bit more of your breath through the back side of your body. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly start to come up into a tabletop position. Move your pillows out and off to the side. If your knees were wide, just go ahead and walk them in. And then in that tabletop position, you're just going to bop your hips a little bit side to side, like you're trying to drop your hips towards the ground. Nice. And then bring your butt back to center. Slide your right leg back, toes curled under, and just take a couple of rocks forward and back, just to bring a little length through the back of the leg and a little blood flow back down to the toes. Awesome. And then when you're ready, switch sides. Slide that leg in, take the other leg back, toes curled under, take a few rocks forward and back. Nice. And then when you're ready, slide that leg in and we're going to spin it all around. So we're going to sit down onto our butt and then take your stack of pillows. We're going to find our way into our broken fish position. So with your stack of pillows, you're going to take them long ways and you're going to shove the ends of the pillows right up nice and close to your tailbone. So tailbone is going to stay off of the pillows to the best of our ability. And then we're going to let the legs extend nice and long, but then you might choose a variation from there that feels better than that. So once you've found your way there, you're going to lower yourself over your stack of pillows, let your chest open up, let your arms open out nice and wide, make sure everything feels good. And then if it feels like you want just a little extra work in your hips, you might opt to come back to that reclined cobbler's pose. But in the supported position that we started with earlier, it was to help protect the SI joint so we're not overextending into the hips. So if it feels like you have any situation going on with the SI and it's better to keep it supported, then you might opt to keep your legs long or take it into constructive rest, bend your knees and let the knees collapse in towards each other, which could also be a little bit more supportive to the low back. So you take a variation that feels good, because what we're really shooting for here is that gentle back bend and the opening through the front of the body, the chest and the collarbone. So arms extend nice and wide, head comfortably resting back, feet in a nice, soft and natural position. And then see if you can invite some softness back in through the front of your body. Softness in your belly, softness in your ribs, softness in your jaw and your throat. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, we're going to slowly start to come up. So prop yourself up on your elbows, help yourself up and away from the pillows, take your time, and then move your pillows out and off to the side. And you might opt to have them for your Shavasana. So just have them somewhere nearby so that you have access to them. But then once you feel like you've got them out of the way, lower yourself back down onto your back. And we're going to take it into some half happy baby. So we're going to bend the knees and then take the right knee, pull it up towards the chest and then swing it out a little wide, take it towards your shoulder and then just see how that feels. You might be super happy here, but if that feels great, but you want just a little bit more sensation, you might opt to float your foot up and grab the blade edge of your foot. So your knee is outside of your ribs, knees drawing down towards the floor, heel is reaching up towards the sky. And we're just going to take a couple nice deep breaths here. We're not going to stay here for the full 3 minutes, but we're just going to find a little opening in the hips, a little softness in the inner thighs. Take a nice deep breath in. Nice slow breath out. Take one more breath. Cool. And then we're softening our grab. So we're going to recatch hold of that right knee, slide your left leg nice and long and right into a supine twist. So right knee is going to come over and across the body into a twist. Right arm opens out nice and wide. Head turns to the right if that feels good. And take a couple nice deep breaths here. Take one more breath. And then when you're ready, pull the right knee into your chest, bring the left knee into meet. So both knees hug in, give a light little squeeze, and then hang onto your left knee, set the right foot down. We're going to take that knee out a little bit wide towards the shoulder, and that might feel good. You might be happy there. But if that feels good and you want that bit of more sensation, you're going to float your foot up. See if you can catch hold of the blade edge of your foot, or maybe you catch hold of the big toes, or maybe you catch hold of the back of the outside of your thigh. So you're going to find what handhold feels good, and then draw that knee down, heel up. Find that little bit of opening in the hip, and then soften back into your breath. Take a nice big inhale. Nice slow exhale. Can you soften your shoulders? Can you soften your jaw? And take one more breath. Cool. And then when you're ready, pulling that knee in toward your chest, extending your right leg nice and long, and supine twist to the other side. So we're going to take that left knee over to the right. Let your left arm open out nice and wide. Maybe you turn your head to the left if that feels good, and take a couple nice big breaths here. Take one more breath. And then when you're ready, pull that left knee back in towards your chest, bring the right knee into meet. We're going to float the feet up like we're coming into happy baby. And I'm going to spin around just to make sure that you can see what I've got going on. So we're going to float those feet up to the sky. Now you're going to take your hands to the insides of your legs. So your elbows are going to be kind of wedged against your inner thighs. You're going to push your arms out as you actively push your knees in. So your muscles might get a little shaky here. We're going to keep that active sensation. So we're just going to reset those muscles that we allowed to soften and bring them back into the playing field so they come back and support again. So push the knees in, push the arms out, hold it there nice and steady for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then let that soften. Pull your knees back into your chest. Give yourself a nice little squeeze, and then ask yourself where would be your best Shavasana. Do you want to take those pillows and tuck them up under your knees and give yourself a little support there, lower down onto your back? Do you want to take one of those pillows and put it under your head or across your belly to give you that little sense of being wrapped in and cocooned in? So take a second to find a position that's going to feel really super nice, super comfortable, and allow your body to come into a stillness that makes sense for you. And then once you feel like you've got your body in a position that feels relatively comfortable, just check in. Make sure your shoulders feel snuggled in, tailbone feels happy, hair and clothes are comfortable. And then maybe if it feels safe and comfortable to do so, you'll close your eyes down or just soften your gaze. You always have the option to stay in your Shavasana as long as you like. But if you feel called to do so, gently start to reawaken your body. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Invite a little gentle movement into your wrists and into your ankles. Maybe a little bit of windshield wiper action with the knees. Maybe you turn your head a little side to side and massage out the back of the head. Just invite that gentle movement in and notice your body here. And then if it feels really good to do so, take a big good morning stretch. Stretch your arms up and overhead, stretch your legs long, take a nice big breath back into your body. And then in your own way, at your own pace, start to find your way up to a comfortable seated position. You might opt to rock and roll up. You might opt to roll to one side, anything that gets you there and feels good. Nice. And then once you found your way there, just take a second. Eyes closed down, shoulders softened down. Bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. Take a moment just to tune back into your breath. Take a nice deep inhale. Nice slow exhale. Breathing in love and gratitude for yourself, for your mind, for your body, and for all of your hard work. Take another generous inhale, and as you exhale, allow your shoulders to soften, and just think about letting go of anything you're holding on to that won't serve you through the rest of your night. And then when you're ready, gently lift up through the top of your head, gently open your eyes. I bow to you. Happy Monday.